The Galactic Concord gathers in pomp and certainty to end 3,000 years of peace with a formal war declaration against Earth. But the humans? They're already smiling like they've been waiting. The Grand Chamber of Concord glowed with self-righteousness. 12 species, 80 delegates, 400 observers, all draped in ceremonial medals, stood in a circle of judgment around a single empty chair. Earths. They violated sovereign scan codes, thundered Chancellor Driven of the Jurek Ascendancy. They've expanded beyond their chartered space. They've ignored 29 requests for diplomatic inspection, hissed a Zilari envoy, eyes glowing gold. And worst of all, growled a voice from the shadows. They smirked. Silence fell. No one laughed, because it was true. Earth had sent no ships to defend the charges, no diplomats to argue innocence. Just one image, a human commander, leaning back in a chair. Smirking. Nothing else. Let the record show, the high chair announced. The vote is unanimous. We hereby declare a full-scale tactical war against Earth and its subsidiaries. He looked around. No dissent, only satisfaction. Av spike. A flicker on the central feed interrupted the ceremony. Not an incoming attack, not a weapon. Ping. From Earth, encrypted. Clean, one line. Thank you. Finally. The chamber blinked. Driv on. Stepped forward. What? What does that mean? The Jurek technician leaned forward, frowning. That was a reply code. From what? From an old human IA relay, buried in their Saturn ruins. It activated the moment we confirmed the war. A pause. Then a second message arrived, this time visual. A battlefield. Not recent. Old. Pre-Concord. Records. One council warship turned into slag within 2 seconds of arrival. No energy weapon. No shielding bypass. Just -ER SUR E. Pixel by pixel. Camera feed shook. And then froze. A human voice came through, clipped and calm. Target acquired. Protocol unshackle authorized. Smile count confirmed. Execute. Driven turned pale. What's a smile count? No one answered. AVD spike. The high chair leaned forward. This is theater. Bluff. Driven nodded too quickly. Yes, obviously. They wouldn't wait 3,000 years just to. Then the chamber lights dimmed. Not by sabotage. By transmission. The Concord systems flickered offline. Then REBOOTED. And across every console. Every panel, one human face appeared. Same smirk. Different background. Now there were ships behind him. Thousands. Shadowed in atmosphere. Not orbiting Earth. Already moving. You thought peace made us soft. It made us ready. The human leaned forward slightly. Then finally spoke. We didn't want this war, but we're the ones who trained for it. He paused, smiled wider. So thanks. This is going to be fun. The feed cut. The war had officially begun, and that was before Earth even responded. The first strike team hit dirt at 400 hours Earth local time. A squad of 10 Drovec commandos, battle-hardened, genetically modified, fused with neural-grade war steel, dropped from high orbit into what their maps called Sector Echo-13. In human terms? Montana. Their boots hissed against soft soil, mountains in the distance, trees taller than they remembered. Too quiet. Commander Var adjusted his visor, scanning for movement. Biosigns? Minimal, growled his second. Primitive structures. Carbon dwellings. No military-grade heat. Then we begin. The squad spread out, rifles drawn. This was supposed to be a soft demonstration. Capture 2 locals. Burn a comms tower. Show the humans the consequences of silence. Var tapped the side of his helmet. Feed is live. Council is watching. He paused. Then added with a grin. Time to teach the Terrans some humility. They moved toward the house. Wooden walls. Hand-carved fence. No. Shields. No drones. Just a porch swing creaking in the wind. A human woman stood, barefoot in the grass, holding a coffee mug, hair messy. Eyes tired. She didn't run. Didn't hide. She just took a sip and looked at them. VRR leveled his rifle. On your knees, she blinked. Is that how you talk to guests? He stepped forward. You are now under council authority. Comply. She stared at the squad, all 10, head to toe in armored alloy. Weapons gleaming. Eyes soulless. Then she smiled. Vars HUDGLITCHED. Static tore across the visor. Then cleared. And now. She wasn't alone. Behind her stood 7 more. Men, women, old, young. No armor. No tech. But something about their posture. They didn't look like civilians. They looked like predators pretending to be prey. Var raised his voice. You are surrounded. We will fire. The woman set down her mug. You shouldn't have come. Here. His second in command stepped forward. Commander, something's wrong with the tactical feed. We've lost uplink. Reboot. I've tried. What do you mean, lost uplink? I mean we're not broadcasting. There. Jamming us? No. They're not. Then what? A pulse hit the ground beneath their feet. Not from orbit. From below. One of the Drovik stumbled. The earth split only slightly and a panel opened beneath the soil. Smooth, matte black. No markings. No noise. Just rising. It wasn't a weapon. It was a door, and something was coming out of it. Var turned. Form up. Defensive perimeter. But the squad had already begun to glitch. Not physically. Mentally. They were seeing things. Memories that weren't theirs. Flashes of Terran wars. Screams through narrow tunnels. Blood in the oceans. Ancient machines waking beneath frozen cities. Voice echoed not in their ears, but inside their skulls. You came to burn. You brought war. We brought history. Var screamed. Fall back. But his boots wouldn't move. The woman in front of him had stepped forward. She didn't carry a weapon, but her presence was heavier than any blade. We've been waiting for this, she said. He snarled. You're bluffing. She smiled again, and in the next breath, 3 of his soldiers dropped, armor locking up. The others turned to flee, but the sky had already changed. Human ships, not sleek. Not elegant. Brutal. Thick armored, scarred, pulsing with quiet blue heat. They weren't descending. They'd been there. Watching. Waiting. The woman picked up her coffee again. You thought peace made us lazy. She sipped. It made us patient. The last image Var saw before blackout wasn't a gun. It was a child. Standing on the hill. No weapon. Just watching. Unafraid. And behind her, dozens more walking out from the trees, from the grass, from underground. Bunkers that weren't even visible to their scans. Humanity hadn't mobilized. It had already mobilized centuries ago. And waited. And that was before Earth even responded. Fleet Admiral Vorin of the Valkyrie Dominion stared at the tactical displays. Aboard the Doomspear, his flagship and the largest command vessel ever built by the Concorde. 20 kilometers long, 2 spinal cannons. Enough firepower to vaporize a moon. It had never fired in real war. Until now. The comlink flared with static. Then the voice of High Counselor Driven cut through like acid. We lost the forward Drovik strike team. All 10. Gone silent. No bodies. No wreckage. Vorin didn't flinch. Then we level the entire quadrant. Not yet. They may be holding them hostage. They've had 3,000 years of peace to prepare. I say we stop assuming they're primitives. Are you frightened? I'm annoyed. He stood and paced toward the starboard viewport. Earth hovered beneath them, blue and brilliant, like it had never changed. We brought 70 ships. They haven't even launched a formal countersignal. This should be over already. That's what I thought before they smiled. The line. Cut. Driven was done speaking. Vorin turned to his second-in-command, a slender crewmaster with implants that wrapped around his skull like thorns. Deploy waves 2 and 3. Full mechanized incursion. No atmosphere damage yet. I want their ground networks turned to ash before they can launch. The crewmaster nodded, fingers dancing across the interface. 3 dropships peeled off the Doomspear's underbelly and fell fast. Each carried 400 tactical drones, swarm-enabled, high AI decision loops, anti-stealth programming, and adaptive munitions. They could level a continent. By the time they landed, they were all ready. Confused. The ground didn't match scans. The heat signatures read wrong. Cities that were supposed to be active were empty. Settlements that looked abandoned were suddenly lighting up underground. One of the drone AI cores sent a ping to command. Terrain. Mismatch. Tactical targets not present. All fallback nodes. Repositioned? The Doomspear's response came quick. Proceed. Confirm all targets. Burn where unsure. So the drones marched straight into silence. None of them made it back. Vorin didn't understand until one of the drones transmitted its last log. A fragment of footage. The drone had reached a large plain in northern Canada, what used to be flat farmland. There should have been no resistance. Instead, the ground cracked open, revealing turrets not forged from traditional alloys, but grown, organic. And the guns didn't fire plasma. They fired compression. One moment the drone was moving. The next, it was a black cube 2 inches wide. Humming. Then silence. The log ended. Play that again, Vorin said. The footage repeated, and then zoomed. In the moment before the compression beam activated, you could see them humans. Not in armor, not screaming, just standing behind the turret. Calm, unarmed. Smiling. He felt a muscle twitch in his jaw. Do they want to die? The crewmaster turned. Sir, incoming message. From Earth? Worse. It was Orcs, head of Concord Strategic Theory, a relic. The only alien who had studied human war logs obsessively. His voice came through flat and cold. You need to leave orbit. Excuse me? Now. Get your ships out of range. We haven't even fired. Exactly. The line went dead. Vorin turned back to the screen. Earth still looked innocent. That was the problem. Prep the spinal cannons. Power core up. But sir, do it. The lights dimmed as energy began surging into the main battery. Doomspear was preparing to fire the largest ship-grade weapon in Concord history. They had no idea it would never get the chance. As the core peaked at 97% charge, the floor shook. For the first time in the ship's history, not from recoil, but from fear. They were being watched. Not by ships. By the planet. Signal rose from Earth. Not encrypted, not directed. Just sent. A low-frequency pulse. It didn't speak. It invited. The weapon arrays across the fleet stopped responding. The energy in the spinal cannon dissipated. Nothing exploded. Nothing fried. The ship simply forgot how to be angry. Vorin stumbled to his knees, clutching his head. The voice wasn't loud. It was gentle, almost polite. We appreciate the vote of war. It allows us to stop hiding. Every vessel in the fleet received the same message. Then the orbit shifted. Not the planet. The space around it. Like Earth had just exhaled. And space listened. 37 ships lost tracking. Instantly. Not from cloaking. From realization. There were things in orbit. Dark things. Ships older than records. Shapes unscannable. Hulls designed not for speed or stealth, but witnessing. Dozens of them. Hundreds. They weren't uncloaking. They had never needed to be seen until now, and they weren't moving into formation. They already were the Doomspear. shuddered Dot then. Nothing Dot except for a single image that appeared on every internal monitor, a map of Earth's star system, every moon, every ring, every dead satellite, marked in red dot, each mark a warning, next to each a number. Voran stared. They weren't coordinates. They were names. Ships. Each red mark was a buried ship. Old Terran war platforms. Each one designated after a human. City destroyed in the fall. Each one. Awakened. He whispered, "How many?" The AI didn't answer. It couldn't, because the numbers kept rising. And then the feed from the lower deck chimed. A message from Earth. This time, a voice, a man, calm, dry, almost amused. "Thank you for declaring war. We accept. Finally. You have no idea how long we've waited for permission." The screen blinked. The smirk returned. But now, it didn't look smug. It looked grateful. And that was when Earth responded. The war didn't begin with a weapon. It began with absence. Every ship in orbit, Velkari, Zelari, Jurek, Tevron, lost sight of each other at the same time. Not by cloaking. Not by folding space, just removed. As if the stars had blinked and decided what didn't belong. Admiral Voran screamed orders from the Doomspear's bridge, but no one was listening. Not his crew. Not the fleet. Not even the ship. The Doomspear's own systems were unresponsive. Energy reserves rooted elsewhere. Engines drained. Then the lights dimmed, and stayed dim. In that silence, a new feed appeared on every screen, not by signal but by force. It didn't ask to be shown. It was inserted. A live visual. Earth's surface. Not under siege. Glowing. A city. No. A fortress rising from beneath a forest. Not built with machines. Grown. Columns of alloy like bone. Towers unfolding from hills. Lights pulsing with rhythm instead of grid logic. Humanity hadn't hidden defenses. They had grown them. Over centuries. Every mountain a vault. Every ocean floor a battery. Every crater a launch path. Then, from the center of the image, a figure stepped into view. Human. UNARMORED. Older. Calm. He looked up. And he saw them. All of them. Ships still watching, struggling to understand what they were seeing. And then he spoke. "You thought peace made us harmless." He stepped forward, eyes unblinking. "You believed we forgot." The city behind him lit up. Not with weapons. With names. Towers spelling out, in light and code, every world the Concord had ever destroyed. Not just Earth's colonies. Other species. 2. Forgotten names. Buried wars. Lies written over history. And Earth had kept all of it. "You didn't win peace," he said. "You drowned it." A tremor passed through the fleet. It wasn't a weapon. It was shame. But shame didn't save them. The humans never planned to negotiate, and they never fired first. They just triggered the fail-safes. One by one, the buried war platforms across the solar system activated. Each one linked to a memory. Each one named for someone erased. The Cairo Resolve erupted from beneath Europa. The Lagos blade from Mercury's sunward edge. The Sapporo curtain, long mistaken for an asteroid, unfolded into a fleet of autonomous shredders that didn't broadcast threats, only coordinates. Coordinates where the Concorde was now allowed to die. Voran stood frozen. The feed returned to the old man. He was smiling now. Not with cruelty, with relief. "Now you finally understand," he said. "We didn't build these ships for revenge." The sky behind him shimmered. A ripple passed through the orbit. Not from engines. From Fathom. Earth's gravity itself. It had changed. Subtly. Intentionally. Because Earth wasn't just a planet anymore. It was a weapon platform disguised as a memory. And now that memory was awake. "We built them," he said, "for closure." A final surge passed through the Doomspear. Its weapons. Disabled. Its engines paralyzed. Every ship in the fleet forced to watch, but no shot came. No invasion. Just a message, broadcast across all council channels. Plain, calm, you may leave. But you must carry this with you. We are not a threat. We are a warning. The next time you forget, look to the stars. And remember the planet that smirked. Voron's knees hit the deck. Not from gravity. From weight. Not one human had lifted a gun, and the war was already over, because the Concord realized too late. Earth didn't smile because it was arrogant. Earth smiled because it had already won.